Thank you so much if you say that you had yourself in the list where you state that you love the most. We are all talking here about self-love, we are all talking about growing together. And this reminds me of one song which as a child we have been hearing and learning. It says, हमको मन की शक्ति देना, मन विजय करे, दूसरों पर जैसे पहले, खुद पर जय करे. So when can you have this khud par jai? When can you win over yourself? The moment you have an inward eye, the moment you feel that you can look within and find the treasure that has been hidden in each and every individual out here. I strongly believe, and my children can say this, I believe that each and every individual has a diamond within. We are here as teachers trying to just polish that diamond. There's nothing that we are doing but removing the dust. When we meet people, it is like digging in gold. The focus we are trying to keep is on somebody's goodness. Then why not about us? The same thing is true for ourselves. Gone are the days when you blame yourself for something which is wrong. It's time that we understand that we are humans at the end of the day, and it's okay to go wrong. It's okay to say no to something which you do not want to agree to. And all these and many more things are going to be discussed today by the eminent panelists. And thank you so much for Nikhil for bringing up
a website called Born Smart. She also serves as global expert on the role of kids in India. She is also the educational consultant and CSOs.
Bharti Rakhija is a dynamic personality, a passionate life coach, exquisite soft skill trainer, and an exemplary public speaker. She comes from a background in psychology, and her 18 years of experience in the field gives her a strong understanding of human behavior.
She had participated in Femina Miss India 2002 and was subsequently signed to the Femina Miss Universe. She has conceptualized and hosted a popular Bollywood podcast called No Filter Neha on Saturday, where she has interviewed key Bollywood celebrities.
We have with us Ms. Arshna Rushal Patel, HOD Special Needs and Counseling Department, Orchestra International School. Dear audience, your applause means a lot to us. Can we have a round of applause for all the dignitaries here with Ms. Shreya Watson, Ms. Neha Dhupia, Ms. Raji Kota, Ms. Arshna Patel, and Ms. Bharti Rakhija with our principal ma'am.
बाद में हटाओ ना, रहने दो ना, बाद में हटाओ, फ्रेम में नहीं है। फोटो बता दे, उसके ऊपर काजू भी रखते हैं।
It's putting yourself first in a way, but throughout our formative years, the kids are taught and told too many times that selfishness is a bad, negative human trait. So how is self-love different from selfishness, and how do you draw this line for kids? Like for me, I like to talk a lot about, let's make it clear to my girls as well, that it's okay to talk about your flaws, it's okay to talk about the scars, the whole shebang. So Neha, I would like to ask you, self-love is a journey for everyone. And for parents, this journey can be a little hard sometimes because of a few statements, a particular situation that happens in the house. Say for example, if you talk to your husband and you ask him, maybe you're asking Angad that how am I looking today? It might set a questionable situation for your kids at home. Of course, Guri is quite young to understand that. As a parent, how do you prepare them for these situations, especially when you're not around? Do you consciously not make statements like this, or do you curate situations where they look at themselves with a lot of self-esteem?
You know, honestly, firstly, good afternoon everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I failed the test of thinking of two people who you love the most. I didn't put myself there. I put Neha and Dhupia there. But you also gave us just 10 seconds. And this is a lifetime of work. So, you know, you've got to like keep the eyes shut for about a year or two till I get myself there. Having said that, I think that, you know, the part where you said that, you know, you consciously do this, or you subconsciously do it, or are you more aware of what you're doing in front of your parents, in front of your children? For us, you know, at the end of the day, I feel, and I could be completely wrong, and I'm extremely intimidated right now because I'm sitting between experts who know everything there is to know about raising children, and I only know everything there is to know about raising my children. So there is a big difference between everybody present here on the panel. Having said that, I feel very honored that you're here. Thank you. But I think I don't consciously steer away from anything except high volume, because that is, you know, I don't want to raise my children in an aggressive environment because I don't want to reflect on that. Having said that, questions about self-love, lack of self-love, how do I look today, getting feedback, all of that happens in front of my children. I don't know how right that is, I don't know how wrong that is. I got into questioning self-love at a point where my life had to be divided amongst more and more people who I love more than I love myself. That's my children. So the big question about self-love came when I became a mom. But then I also operated at a point where within myself, I was operating at an honor code that I gave myself, which is whether my body has changed, whether my time is not mine, whether what I expected out of motherhood in the first few months is very different from what life throws back at you, whether I was in postpartum depression, all of the above was questioned by me, but it was also answered back by me with an honor code saying, hey, you signed up for this and look what you've got. I know that this is also on the outside, people say the same thing to you, but till you don't internalize that feeling, it's never going to change. So I did that, and I feel like when I have this out-of-body experience, seeing my children grow, giggle, and become the people that I want them to be, I really think it's also a part of self-love, because that amount of happiness is not quantifiable. So at the end of the day, even that qualifies. Just watching the sunset, looking at my children, sitting in a park, doing nothing, and sometimes not feeling like my most beautiful self is also okay. It's a part of self-love because my insides are happy. So, you know, for me, like I said, I can only speak about myself and my children. But yes, it's a process. I mean, telling yourself that you love your body you marry is the same body that, you know, has been on beauty pageants, and at the same time I've put on 25 kgs to like give birth. But I'm fine with it because it also comes from with time, with confidence, and you've got to weigh it out and give it time. I mean, that's where I look at it. And I'm sorry, maybe this wasn't the answer you were expecting, but this is the person I am. Thank you.
So I think, I'm sorry, but I couldn't stop myself. I think that...
So, Dr. Shudh, adding to the same, there's a lot of times, especially in schools, that there is a tendency a natural tendency to compare kids, mainly to motivate them or push them. Teachers sometimes may make statements that might be a little hurtful to kids. So as educators,
I think teachers also get influenced by parents, because parents tend to compare. When they come for open house, why is that child's drawing better than my child's drawing? And that's very important for teachers to put a stop to that by saying, in this school, label children. And in the words of Dr. Dalwai, it's better to move from labeling to enabling. And that is what will help children See, self-love is a very complex concept. Not everybody understands it. But it's very important that in little things when put together, you will reach.
Sorry. Dr. Bharti, many parents sometimes compare their kids in order to push them to perform a little better. They compare them to the neighbors, fine line between those. So in your conversation with kids especially, do you feel that it's better to talk to parents as well? And is it as important as
are on a wrong way, but yes, they need to be guided. They need to be put a particular full stop where, they need to stop thinking. I always mention that, the boundary, whether it is a parent or me being a parent of a 5-year-old or anybody being a parent of a 15-year-old, that line differs. Everything has a particular, I should say, a validity to it. That's where I feel, yes, it is important. Entertainment does play an important role, but it has to be in moderation. It can't just go along with the flow.
so there are pros and cons to this as well?
Definitely.
Would you like to shed some light?
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna, on a completely different note, when we talk about boundaries, and this is a conversation that I've had many times in the past, and I've said this in interviews, and of course speaking to experts, and this is out of my own life experience. I remember, let's just jog back 4.5 years, my firstborn is a daughter. And for me, the most important word that I had to ever teach my daughter was bus. That is the most important word because she needs to understand what's good for her if someone's crossing the line. And it started literally with, 2 extra spoons of rice when she was just like, bus. And she would say, mama, and then she would say, bus, mama, bus, I'm done. And today at 4.5, she knows what's right for her, what's wrong for her, how much part-time she wants, how many minutes of television she wants to give herself, because she knows that she's the one who's going to control the reins of her life, define what's right, define her boundaries, and she knows when and who to say bus to. And I feel like it's going to go a long way in her life.
That is where it is very, very important for every parent where we come from. Even as teachers, there are times where the teachers do tell that, it's been difficult, I just can't handle this particular thing because the child just goes on and on and on. And it's easy for the child because it's an influence. They feel the more I talk, I'm more cooler. The more I talk, the more I give that level of information, I'm much more easier to, connect with or get fit into that kind of a crowd. But again, there's a boundary that needs to be put on. And yes, same as you are trying to teach your daughter, same way she always comes and tells me that enough, I don't need it. And that's where, I feel that's a good thing, or one point to me saying that yes, I've achieved something, to put that thing in line.
When we don't respect their boundaries, when they say no, the child doesn't want to say, she doesn't want to extra spoons of rice. But if you don't respect them, you force feed, like involuntarily you are giving them an impression that it's okay not to respect that word, which is going to impact a lot of decisions in their life.
Issue and as parents, I feel like we deal with it. Plus, eating in front of gadgets, is that the right thing to do? Whether chalo theek hai, bachche ka pet to bhar jayega versus no gadget, only food. Trying to make it what it's not. And I just feel like for us when we were growing up, it was just like my mom would say, table pe khana lag gaya, khalo khana kha lo. It was just 2 lines all the time, and then I'd be like, and she always had this theory that the only way to and still she says it, if the child is hungry, wo bhindi or tinda bhi kha lega, and if the child is not hungry, okay, chocolate's a bad example because they'll keep eating it, but then kahan se unke paas itna stamina and chocolate khane ka. But it's true, like I tried this, And I also think that food is also one thing which is not supposed to be done in isolation. It is a social thing, and at least, you know, if you're not going to be there with your child during meal times, at least make sure you're not like tucking your child away in front of an iPad or in front of a screen facing the wall and then be like, because this part keeps getting bigger, but they don't gulp because they're so engrossed in like whatever is going on. But I feel like there have to be a few lines, a little bit of division, and I'm going to let the experts take it.
So I think it brings me to the next topic, which is a lot of times kids under the peer pressure. You know, if they want to be valued, if they want to be accepted with their peers, with their friends, they need to have those valuables and, you know, expensive things. Like for me, my daughter came to me, she's 11 there, the one, and we got her a phone, a basic smartphone to just upload her homework and do the keep in touch. And she comes one day and she said, I want an iPhone 13 Pro Max. I said, why? Because a boy in my class is using an iPhone 13 Pro Max. So if his parents can get it for him, why can't you get it for him? So there are a lot of times when they're influenced by a lot of these peers and what they see their friends do. They don't ask you, you're an influencer, you're a celebrity, you're always in the public eye. Anything, any small thing that you do out of love, any action, can be misconstrued a lot of times. So does that restrict your choices of what you give your kids or your actions with your kids?
I mean, most definitely, like you said, you know, if you're saying I'm an influencer, I'm a celebrity, I'm an actor, producer, whatever else I do, I'm still a parent to my child. And I have to be extremely conscious. And I feel like one of the best ways, again, only parenting my own children and not anyone else's children, is to raise your child under the given circumstances with the same set of values that have trickled down on you by your parents. So for me, I was raised with a huge amount of value for money because I was raised in a 4G home where we had life and, you know, in a way that life was defined like, you know, you want to go out and play, you get a flat tire of someone else who's thrown it away, you find your own rope, you make your own swing, you swing it on your banyan tree, and that's what fun is. So yeah, I mean, I try and inculcate the same normalcy in my children as well. And I think that for me, the one thing that could take away from the way you define me is the fact that there could be a little less normalcy around my children because it's like, okay, yeah, you know, maybe they're, you know, more prone to being in the public eye. But that's also something that they need to understand because, you know, I still remember we were in Goa, I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and my daughter, we were coming out of the beach, the sunset, we were walking towards that little patch where you go and find your car, and some people came to take a photograph with me, and they're like, she's like, Mama, why is everybody taking a selfie with you? Although I was very tired after 6 hours of sun, I did not take that time to explain, and I was like, first you go sit in the car, put her aside, and then we had a chat about what I do. And then she's like, okay, when I grow up, I'll also be on camera, and when I walk out of the beach, everyone will click a picture. But that's when the long conversation needs to be had, because that's when you need to tell your children that it's not just that. So whether you're a doctor, whether you're an engineer, whether you're an influencer, hardest job in today's day and age right now, I feel it's really, really hard. Whether you're an actor, whatever you do, the work that you have put in, the hours that you have put in, all of us, like especially as an influencer, as an actor, you've broken the mold, you believed in yourself. There is self-love from the age of 17, because if I didn't believe in myself, nobody else would. All that needs to be told that, most importantly, word for the day, you're one of a kind, and that's why you're going to go this far, or you will be able to take yourself as far as you want. It's not about that one selfie. It's what you've done over the past 20 years that has taken you to a point when you walk out of the beach, somebody wants a photograph with you. So that is the conversation you need to have with your children. And yes, that conversation lasted, if you know Goa well, all the way from Borjum to Kandalak, which is 1 hour 15 minutes.
I want to ask you while we're talking on the topic of peers.
It means accepting and embracing the uniqueness that I carry, allowing myself enough time and before I learn a skill, right? So before we jump into help and rescue our children from something, we first need to look at ourselves. Am I able to stand in front of the mirror, look at my complete self and accept myself just as I am, with my bulges, with my broad nose, with my freckles, with my size changing every fortnight? Am I able to accept myself? And am I able to accept if my child falters and fails a number of times at whatever he is doing? Yeah, it all starts there.
I mean, I pretty much made it amply clear that I don't operate at a level of discomfort. I don't operate at a level of anything, whether it's discomfort, whether it's disrespect, whether it's dishonoring people, none of that. So I think that for me, a very large part of, I also come from a business where, you're defined by the way you look. I've been working in this business where the mindset has changed multiple number of times, with it being the most unorthodox right now. But I started working in my first ever job in front of the camera was 1998 December. So you can do the math if you're good at it. I have. And the thing is that I also feel that I still remember, when you used to have, I don't know if any of you had those phones, but when your phone would come on, it would give you a message. You could feed a message. It wasn't one of the smartphones. And I would always, I asked my parents, I'm like, what should I write over here? Because they got me my first phone when I was, I think, 18. And I remember my dad said, you should write chin up, And he's a Fauji man. He's like, no matter what, always have your chin up. And there's nothing wrong with it. And because you are who you are, you come with your own magic. And I feel like the first, for me, I really wasn't raised in a house where I would go out and be bold enough to say that, hey, I'm good looking or I'm smart. But I was definitely raised in a house to believe that if you have your head between your shoulders and if you're brave enough, you can go out there and do anything you want. And, whether it's fighting a battle, whether it's saving a nation, or whether it's, wearing the sash of your nation and walking down the stage. So I feel like my self-love journey has been, has had a lot of ups and downs, and I'm in a profession that on a daily basis, it keeps me under check. But at the same time, the world and the business that we're in has become so inclusive right now that it makes me more and more comfortable to raise my children in this environment. Of course, I'm not looking forward to the preteens and teens at all, but at 4.5, my son's 1.5 and my daughter's 4.5, and I feel like there's just lots of self-love, and I'm very proud of what we have, crawling around the house. I'm in a good place right now. Yeah, I hope so, unless I start hearing 11-year-old phone problems, which is very scary. I feel bad for you.
What about you, Dr. Swati? Would you like to tell us where you are on your self-love journey?
I think I'm sorted, because as an educator, if I don't have self-worth, what am I going to give to students and teachers? In agreement with what Doc said, that for me, I think that the largest part of self-love was something that I had to build on, because on a daily basis, our profession is so different from any other job, because you're not looking for a new job for, I would imagine, give or take between 2 and 5 years is when you change jobs in any other place. Whereas for us, it's like every Friday, every day, you're shortlisted for a job, you go for an audition, you come back, and there are times where for 9 months, 3/4 of the year, you're sitting at home without work, and then there are times where you're constantly working. If I had ever let those large gaps of work or that amount of rejection or that amount of acceptance define me both ways, I would have been a mess by now. So I just feel like it's so important to tell yourself, and I think the profession has taught me this, and that's what I want to tell my children also. And in school is probably the other place where our profession on a daily basis, they get approved, they get rejected, they get compared to, people have an opinion about you. So it's so important to tell yourself it's not that you're not good enough, it's just that maybe they were looking for something different. Or maybe, and then it's also okay to accept that you need to work harder towards getting something. It doesn't take away from who you are. So I feel like One is that, I mean, never be bogged down by rejection, because rejection is not always because you're flawed. It's because even the outside world could be looking for something else. And secondly, and most importantly, is, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this word on stage, but comparison is the shortest way to hell. You want to go to hell? Start comparing. Do not do that to yourself. Yeah, and thanks for that. But I genuinely think हम जिंदगी भर यही बोलते हैं ना, हमें नरक नहीं जाना. अगर आपको जिंदा होते हुए नरक जाना है, you start saying कि वो मेरी ड्रेस ऐसी नहीं थी और मेरा बच्चा ऐसे नहीं था. Don't do it, don't do it, do it. Just don't. Like, I cannot tell you enough. I mean, I'm not an expert, but if you're an audience full of parents over here, just don't compare your children. Your children are your own. Hold on to them tight. Enjoy them every day, even if they're, crushing chocolate on their hands and smearing it on the walls. There's a magic to that. And I promise you, from what I've heard, I believe you miss it. So it's okay. Call the mystery, get the whitewash done, let them just, there's a happiness in them walking, all over you with paint and, it's okay. It's their flaws that make them perfect. So just embrace each and every bit of it.
Lovely. I think this is why I said in the beginning that we're going to have a lot to take over. Dr. Bali, I'll come to you. Or how do you showcase it to your friends?
We have a voice. Is your question in reference to our children? Is your question in reference to us as parents?
You as parents, how do you set examples for them to follow?
Simple things like, maybe for instance, taking from where you said that sometimes mama drives her, Meher to school, and sometimes papa drives Meher to school, and sometimes, papa's doing diaper duty, and sometimes, mama. It's also, we're also very, modern nuclear family that has probably defined or gone 2 steps ahead of equal parenting, or had that conversation with each other before our child was born. So I just think that it's, with all due respect, I feel like we're called parents because there shouldn't be any difference, and I feel like we also don't, and I want to honor fathers here who I've seen doing work. If you let them do it, that's when they do it really well. And if you don't have enough faith, there are times that we also don't give men or fathers enough of an opportunity to do. So, it's very, very important that we honor that that's a parent and you're a parent and you're a mother and that's a father. Yes, there are things that the father can't do physically in the initial few months when the baby is born. But having said that, I think support can be provided at all times of the day, at any time of the year, for anything that you do, and that's what equal parenting is about. So that's a conversation that we really had, only to a point where we're not going to have definitive lines, or we're not going to put ourselves in boxes, ki papa hai to papa ye karenge, or mommy hai to mommy ye karenge. So I am here because he's at home today, and that's all that matters.
And I think these conversations today are very important because there was a time we had defined roles. Mama was
really happy, it's not because I'm such a bad cook. So it's great. Nobody makes better scrambled eggs than Papa, so it's fine. Or then, but at the same time, there's also parallel parking in this conversation in our house, but it's okay. Like, I really think that, we come from a household where cricket was such a big thing. My father-in-law was, the captain of the, ex-captain of the Indian cricket team, and for us, sport is so important. In that order, when Angad was taught how to play cricket, he was taught discipline first, sportsman spirit second, skill 3, competition 4, and cricket at number 5. And so for us, when we say we want one of our kids, it'll be great to see them don, whatever their dada used to do. It's just a conversation if you have in passing. It's never said that, oh, our son's going to play cricket. Not at all. Our daughter's going to play cricket, and our son's going to play cricket, or they're going to do whatever they want. We don't put them in boxes, and therefore we don't put ourselves in boxes. That's the way. Not just for me, for everyone. And I really think that we need to now move beyond the conversation conversation of equal parenting. It should just be synonymous, just be parenting. I mean, it was, and that's what we're trying to get out of as well.
Alright, so before we close the back, like I mentioned,
Honest. I am. I wish you'd come to me first because now this sounds like a stalemate, but I'd have to repeat one. I was hoping this comes to me first. Alright. I'm honest, I'm blessed, I'm woman. Do good.
Dr. Swati.
I'm happy. I also think that we should have gone with the flawed ones in 3 words. I think if I were you and conducting this, I would have switched it up.
Wacom team, please make note of this.
Wacom team.
Okay, let's go there. Why don't we say one adjective that is your flaw? To sleep. I sleep a lot.
I'm indecisive. Very, very, very flawed about that.
What about you?
I am sometimes obsessed with perfection.
She's reached this point of self-love that even the flaw is perfect.
I love this. I love this about you. Let me talk about self-love here. So that she's reached 10 and beyond. So that brings us
To
to
be honest, being a perfectionist is really flawed because there's nothing called as perfect.
yeah, OCD. That's what I am. So I love how confidently we brought out to our flaws as well, and we're able to talk about them in front of the entire public. That brings us to the end of this fabulous, one-of-a-kind forum, and please give a round of applause to these wonderful ladies here. We now open the floor to questions.
I'll just come here to ask a question, but not too close so that I don't forget my question. So, my name is Abel and I'm an education influencer with 12 million followers on YouTube now, but I was an introvert. As a kid I was an introvert. And my blessing was that my name is Abel, so my father always told me that Abel doesn't look up to someone, people have to look up to Abel, so be that kind of person. So the problem is, while being an introvert, I looked up to movies, to look at the way of life, to learn the way of life. So my question is, while watching movies, I learned that there is a hero. एक hero होता है और side characters होते हैं. हर कोई hero होता है. ये movies में मैंने नहीं देखा था at that point of time. अभी trend क्या change हो रहा है? So Neha ji, question to you: is Bollywood doing enough, or has been doing enough to create individuality?
Wow, okay. Firstly, congratulations, Amal, on everything that you achieved. It's fantastic. I really think that when it comes to Indian cinema, times have changed, the narrative has changed, and what's always defined the stories we tell is society. And I think society always leads from the front, and we only take our experiences from all of you, because the audience wants to see what on screen, what they see around them. And I really think that, Indian cinema has changed in such a big way. And I'm so glad that it's steering away from, of course, that also provides entertainment, a hero, a heroine, and then everybody else is padding their love story. That's, that's okay. We're allowed to live that dream. Nobody should take that away from us. But having said that, now when you see so many different shows on different platforms, you know that everyone's there for a reason, like in life, and everybody's excelling or is flawed, but they're trying to do their best. It depends on which narrative. So yes, over time, and I don't know how long you've been watching movies for, but I've been a part of movies for almost 18 years now, and I've seen how the narrative on paper, in scripts, on celluloid, in OTT, everywhere has changed. And you're like, the look of your protagonist, your antagonist, everybody else is, we are us, and that's what cinema has become now. So I really think it's changed for better.
amazing. I think we have time only for one more question from the audience.
I have a question from Ms. Neha Dhupia. Good afternoon, ma'am. It's really lovely to have you here today. Yes. Hi, ma'am. My question for you is, ma'am, have you ever had any experience where Meher and Gul, Gul, I'm so sorry.
No worries, so I get that a lot. I love his name, but people have to get used to it.
They showed you some signs of self-doubt. So how did you deal with that?
I mean, if I have 2 minutes to tell you a really interesting story, I'm happy to do that. My son is 17 months old, so I have very few stories about him with self-doubt. When you put on like Diljit Dosanjh and he dances to it, and then if you put on Skidamara, he dances to that also. And that's it, like, you know, he has his own little world and it's created. My daughter was 4.5, and I was, this is a learning of self-doubt, which I had from her actually. She started going to school and she started going to what we call big school, and she goes to a school where there's no school uniform. And you know, every day, and then this was also a phase where she understood birthday parties, and every day she would dress in those big dresses and for parties, and then she realized that she has those big dresses, she doesn't need to wear uniform, and she just started dressing in character every day. So then from Meher, she changed her name to Meronisa, Elsa, Sophia, Ariel, Dhupia, Bedi. So her real name is Meher Dhupia Bedi, but she became this person. And one day she would dress like a unicorn, and the next day like a mermaid, and she would do it all herself. And you know, some days extremely inspiring, and some days extremely, for a different word, creative. And then at the end of the day, her school would finish at 3 o'clock, and she would go on this thing called a red climber, where she had to climb the top of a rope. And she would love going and sitting right on top. Now the problem was that she would wear these really large dresses. I let this go on. The first day I may have fought it a little bit, and I was like, no man, everybody goes in tights and t-shirts to school and you need to go like that. But then she was just like, I don't want to be like everybody. I mean, today I'd like to use that. I want to be one of a kind. I want to go in my big dresses. So I looked at her and I was like, I'm out of this person who's okay to stand out in a crowd at 3.5. Every day, I think it went on from, say, first week of October till little before Christmas. Every day she would dress in character, go to school, come back, till finally one day, her big dress, and she got stuck on top of that red climber. And that's when she realized that she's just going to go back to wearing those tights and t-shirts because she wants to be comfortable. But nobody took the wind beneath her wings, where nobody clipped her wings and said, hey, you cannot dress in character. Everybody in our house is like, yes, you are one of a kind. Yes, you're going to be what you want to be. If one day you wake up and think you're a unicorn, you're going to be that unicorn. And the next day you think you're a mermaid, you're going to swim deep into those oceans. You're on your own and we're watching you by the side. And that girl taught me a life lesson. So many times before going out on the red carpet, I was like, what will this person think? Ye kya bolega? Wo kya likhega mere bare mein? And that's when I realized, if I can learn from this girl who's 3.5, who's my own, who's my daughter, who teaches me and doesn't care, because that's what makes her happy, and that's what makes her an individual, why can't I do it? And that was my biggest life lesson from my own daughter. It makes me very emotional right now, but she, instead of me trying to change her, she changed me and made me more confident. So much, and that's what life is.
We learn so much from our kids, like
so much.
I had my then 5-year-old step out for dinner with us with 2 different shoes because she couldn't decide. She said, Mama, I'm playing both of them, so I'll wear one of each. And she went out and she confidently wore it throughout the evening. And that gives us...
When the child is trying to dress herself up, and the mother pitches in, नहीं तुमसे नहीं होगा, लाओ मैं कर देती हूँ. तुम गंदा कर दोगे, लाओ मैं खिला देती हूँ. I think that's the time we are, turning the things around.
Yeah, and then she wore the tights and t-shirt, and that's when she started doing gymnastics, which is good again. So no big dresses in gymnastics class for sure.
Alright, insightful. And like I said in the beginning, we have so much to take away with us. I'll hand it over to the Orchid team now.
Thank you so much, Hans. Well, I think everyone in this
all right now will go home with a 10 out of 10 for ourselves. Small line. मैं अपनी favorite हूँ. Do we now resonate? मैं अपनी favorite हूँ. मैं अपना favorite हूँ. We can all go back with this small learning. With this we end the show. But before we learn a lesson for our own selves, we are now a little more confident. Have we empowered ourselves, audience? And we are ready to love ourselves unconditionally. We sincerely extend our vote of thanks to Ms. Neha Dhupia for sharing the parental side, for sharing the equality, for sharing the love that we need. Very sincere thanks to Ms. Shreya Gautam for being the bridge between the expertise of the experts and helping us lead ahead with our own selves. A very, very thank you to Mrs. Bharati Rakija for 10 out of 10 that we all remember now. And a very, very big thank you to Dr. Swati. Dr. Swati once has really helped us out, especially even the teachers, it's not only the parents. Conflict resolution is something which we all are taking back. We definitely have a bag full of learnings to create a mental ambience, to find worthiness in ourselves, and we sincerely thank our principal ma'am, Mrs. Jayashree Bhakhe, for the event. And above all, our sincere thanks to the channel Nickelodeon for the beautiful event. Thank you so much, Nickelodeon channel. We are grateful to have the show here, which is helping us out. Before we all leave, I remember, dear audience, that embrace ourselves for God is the creator and the best creation of God is our own self. As Nickelodeon's initiative to embrace uniquely.
Ma'am, look here, everybody look here.
लाइटों पे ढाल के करेंगे मोमबत्ती
चलो भाई मेरा होता तो मैं थोड़ा पीछे करता. Yes, everybody look here. Wait. थोड़ा पीछे. Everybody look here.
ऐसे निकल कर मैं साइड में खड़ा था लोग नीचे अब तो इसीलिए आया. चलो आ जाओ. चलो और बात
आई थिंक जब भी कोई ऐसी एसोसिएशन हो जब आप एक्टर से ज़्यादा एक माँ होने के दर्जे में या एक पेरेंट होने के दर्जे में आके बात करते हैं, सो आई फील लाइक यू आर शेयरिंग अ लॉट ऑफ योर लाइफ एक्सपीरियंसेस. और मैं इस बात पर बहुत अहमियत देना चाहूँगी दैट आई कैन ओनली शेयर द एक्सपीरियंसेस व्हाट आई हैव विद माई ओन चिल्ड्रन. और कहीं ना कहीं अगर ये बात जो हमने आज की है सेल्फ लव की, गुड, Good, I'll start. I'll take it on from जहाँ आपने बात की है. Yeah. और जैसे आप देख रहे हैं कि आज हमने जो बात की है सेल्फ लव की, और ये जो निकलोडियन का जो इनिशिएटिव है विच इज़ वन ऑफ अ काइंड, बहुत ज़रूरी होता है अपने बच्चों को शुरुआत से बताना दैट दे ऑल आर वन ऑफ अ काइंड. उनकी हर एक बच्चे की एक अलग पर्सनालिटी होती है. इट्स ओके टू लेट देम लिव आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स. और आजकल जो बात करते हैं और देखते हैं हम बहुत ज़्यादा जो बच्चों पे प्रेशर डाला जाता है टू टेक अवे फ्रॉम दैम. आई थिंक निकलोडियन का ये जो आज effort है to have these conversations out in public, start through schools, send it out via the press and the media. It's a very important conversation that needs to be had. आई थिंक मैं स्कूल काफ़ी जाती हूँ, तो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस जब मैं स्कूल में जाती हूँ मुझे ऐसे लगता है या मैं पिकअप या ड्रॉप के लिए जा रही हूँ, बट स्कूल से तो बहुत आना जाना है. बट टुडे आई हैव कम टू ऑर्किड्स इंटरनेशनल. ये अलग किस्म का स्कूल है. द काइंड ऑफ स्कूल दैट माय डॉटर गोज टू इज़ कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट. और जैसे मैंने कहा, मायने क्या रखता है कि बच्चे स्कूल जाए, किस तरह के स्कूल जाए, वो अपने उनके पेरेंट्स पे डिपेंड करता है. एंड यस, बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट्स थे, बहुत सारी कॉन्वर्सेशंस थी, एंड आई एम होपिंग कि आज जो है ऑडियंस ने सुना है और ये अपनी लाइफ में इनकॉर्पोरेट करेंगे. हम जितनी भी सेल्फ लव की बातें कर लें, जब तक आप अपनी लाइफ में, अपनी निजी ज़िंदगी में इनको इनकॉर्पोरेट नहीं करेंगे तो किसी चीज़ का फ़ायदा नहीं होता है.
एक सेकंड, बच्चों को क्या मैसेज रहेगा मैम आपकी तरफ से, प्रेशराइज करते हैं बच्चों को कंप्लीट करने के लिए?
आई थिंक जैसे मैम ने भी आज, डॉक्टर ने भी कहा दैट मोर देन हेलीकॉप्टर पेरेंटिंग, लेट्स डू सबमरीन पेरेंटिंग, लेट्स वॉच केयरफुली व्हाट दे आर डूइंग, बट एट द सेम टाइम डोंट पुट देम अंडर प्रेशर. कितना कुछ सुनने को आता है पोस्ट कोविड. देयर बीन सो मेनी मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज अबाउट चिल्ड्रन ऑल्सो. और हर एक बच्चे को हमको कंपैरिजन से दूर रखना, प्रेशर से दूर रखना, उनकी एबिलिटी क्वेश्चन करना, इन सब चीज़ों से, या फिर एक बॉक्स के अंदर डाल के कहना कि नहीं तुमको ऐसा ही बनना है बिकॉज दे हैव टू लिव योर ड्रीम, इन सब चीज़ों से दूर रखना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. बिकॉज at the end of the day you want a healthy child, and the most important thing for a healthy child is a healthy mind. And पेरेंट्स होने के ज़रिए या पेरेंट्स होने के नाते ये अपने आप को रोज़ बताना बहुत ज़रूरी है, बिकॉज इट्स वॉट यू टीच योर चाइल्ड इज़ वॉट योर चाइल्ड इज़ गोइंग टू पिक अप एंड बिकम दैट. सो इट्स द reins are entirely in your hand, and I mean I definitely think that children should not be put under any pressure whatsoever. Thank you.